it's Jenny, and I'm back in the studio today to share with you a new project that's a cross between a canvas and a scrapbook layout. It's actually done on a thin canvas, but more like a mixed media scrapbook layout. I took a workshop several weeks ago from the very talented Kate Thompson, and she introduced me to a new material called Venetian Plaster that you get at the hardware store. So I'm going to use that on today's project, and was definitely inspired by her and her workshop, and hope that you will be inspired as well. You're going to need to start off with either a flat canvas or a wood panel for this technique. And my panel has already been coated with one layer of the Venetian plaster, and after that's dry, then you're going to take a stencil and use a palette knife to spread the Venetian plaster over the stencil in as many areas as you'd like to use it. After that's completely dry, then you're going to choose a color, and I chose Fiji in the velvet, and you want to paint over the raised areas. Again, make sure everything is completely dry, and then you're going to come back with a power sander, and we're just going to take that first layer of paint off, and this is going to help really integrate the design into the canvas. This is why I said earlier that you needed to either work on a wood panel or on a flat canvas. If you had a canvas that had give to it, it just wouldn't really work too well for that. And I used a glitter cloth, which is just kind of a sticky cloth, to go back and dust over my piece to get the excess dust off of that. And then you're going to take gesso, and we're going to paint over the entire canvas, because the Venetian plaster won't take the paint and the mist as well as we want it to. But I am going to leave one section of my blue area without the gesso over it, just so there'll be a little bit more contrast with it. When this is dry, you're going to go back with some mist and add color over the top of it. And I thought that my camera was on, but apparently it wasn't. But just add whatever colors you'd like to use. Next, you're going to take some chocolate and just add some onto the canvas, and we're going to take a comb tool and spread this out. I like using corrugate a lot of times on my projects, and this gives the same look created in paint, which I think is really cool. And I'm also going to take some buttercream and do the same thing, just add a little bit. And as I use the comb tool, some of my colors mixed and created some really interesting colorways. I had some vintage lace, and I just tore it and really was kind of experimenting with this. So the first piece I put on with modeling paste, and it really kind of obscured the lace some, which was fine because this is going to be a masculine piece when I was finished, so I didn't want it to be all frilly and girly. But it just gave some really nice texture there. And then on the top piece, I used gel medium to apply it so that the lace was more visible. I used one of our new colors, Salted Caramel, which I love, and just sprayed it over the lace. A little bit on the bottom. I also added some Waimea Bay to bring that blue in as well. And I decided to come back in with some more modeling paste over the lace just to really help integrate it into the canvas. I didn't want it sticking out like, oh, she glued some lace on here. So this really helped to blend it a lot better. And I use my palette knife to come back in at the bottom and add some buttercream just to blend those edges and make them not as harsh either. I wanted a little bit more contrast in my lace area, so I came in with some mint julep and just painted that in some areas to add some shading around it. I drew some squiggles with the Mermaid dimensional crystal, and this stuff is amazing. It's really sparkly and holds its shape and just adds so much to your project. So I just wanted this to look like drips, but with a lot more depth to them. And after it was dry, I actually did go back with some mist and let it run down those, which gave a pooling effect around it that was really cool. I also took an awl and just drew the line down through my paint, and this helped pull it down and make it narrower and just gave it more definition. Going back to the stenciled area, I used another one of our new products, the Metal Effects in gold, and just painted over those raised areas. And this is just a subtle gold, but gave it a lot more shimmer and a lot more interest. Stamping's one of my favorite layers to put on at the end, and I used Hampton Arts Art Warehouse border background, and it has several stamps in it that are really great words and squiggly words, and I just used the Stays on ink. And like I've said before, sometimes when I'm using stamps on my canvases, I'll use an acrylic block, and sometimes it's easier just to hold it off the block and press it into the areas that I want. So either method works great. Then I pulled out Hampton Arts Speckle Background stamp, and I just wanted to add this speckling to my raised areas in the upper corner. So since it's raised and this is a wood stamp, I was able to apply the ink just to those raised areas, which gave a really cool effect. And then I used this large graphic stamp from the Ditto line and painted it with the Sorbet in Tiger Eye, which is a yummy color, and it just really popped with the colors on the canvas. When you do this, don't worry about being neat or anything, because it's going to give you more texture, but it'll still give you a good stamped image. Just make sure to go wash off your stamp as soon as you've done this. I had my photo mat already put together, so I haven't attached it to the canvas yet. I'm just kind of tracing around the canvas with a Stabilo pencil, and this is going to give us some shading in some areas. On my photo, you can tell that I went around with some gesso and just added that to the photo. It makes it fit in a little bit better with a mixed media type project instead of having a pristine picture. And I also added some hand stitching along the chevrons on the pattern paper. After you got your outline, then just go back with a wet paintbrush, and you can use that to blend out those lines. And this just softens it, and like I said, gives it a great shading effect. I've had fun sharing this with you and hope you've enjoyed my video as well. If you have any questions, please shoot me an email. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have. Hope you'll come back and join me again for my next video. Thanks. Bye.